voting. I did speak to two voters who were concerned about what had happened in the morning and explained to them that, if they need to come back to Christ of the Bay to vote, that they need to get there by 7:59 tonight. I just want to say that our central count team is fabulous. It's really warm down there, unfortunately. And our chief inspector, who is our new deputy clerk, Stacy Menke, she's doing a fabulous job. And all of our workers down there, we have many seasoned central count workers, and they're doing a fabulous job. So I just want to give a shout out, as they say, to the workers of central count and, of course, our poll workers at polls. It's been a very busy day. We had a lot of ballots that we had to order and supply people, the chief inspectors, with, because it's been very robust, the turnout. I won't know, obviously, I actually won't know until tomorrow when I actually look at all the tapes and whatnot. So you all know what the turnout was before I will. But everyone has really pulled together, used all their best knowledge. We have excellent poll worker teams who work really well, really efficiently together, and they support each other. And that's the most important thing when it's very busy and hectic. And of course, the city staff. We had that issue this morning with the power out, as well as the delayed voting. So police, DPW, parks, fire department got together very quickly so we could, we marshaled some generators. We didn't have to use them. Our neighbors, our community partners at WPS, Wisconsin Public Service, was able to restore service within an hour and a half. So, it's never too soon to thank people for the excellent jobs that they do. And I am always deeply humbled and grateful for the generosity of the people who work for us, as well as the generosity of our community members. So that is what I have to report now. What questions do you have?
What went into the decision to not deciding to make the judicial decision?
Right. Thank you for asking that question. These judicial orders are actually hard to get approved. And the time, the reason did not, in our analysis, we felt that did not rise to the level of trying to initiate a judicial order. It really needs to be something fairly catastrophic for a judge to say yes to it. So that was the decision in there. And it was 22 minutes, according to the chief inspector, where there was a delay.
Those two voters that you spoke to, what were their concerns with the delay?
Sure. So their concern just was that they came at 7 o'clock to vote so they could get about their day. And they were just concerned that they could not actually effectuate the vote at 7 o'clock. So I did speak to them. Like I said, we're open only until that particular polling location is open at regular polling hours. And as long as you're in line, really at 8 o'clock, then you're good to go and to vote. So, they weren't terribly happy. They did also convey some concerns that they had about how things went, which I will address with the chief inspectors and also with training, to be honest with you, in the future for the chief inspectors next year.
How do you sort of balance the reality of trying to be prepared, but also things you can't necessarily control, like a power outage or someone not showing up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the things that I think I certainly need to purchase, I never thought I would have to. I mean, like I said, it's a beautiful day, but we had this problem last April where it wasn't so beautiful and the lights flickered in a couple of polling locations. So just having some backup materials always is helpful. But then when someone doesn't open up the polling location, and quite frankly, things happen. Life happens. We're all human beings. And if anybody knows anything about elections, it is that they are human run, right? They're not machine run. AI is running our elections. So they're human run. And especially in the state of Wisconsin, there's a lot of redundancy that is human generated and human initiated. So We will review our polling location agreements and review how we can maybe gain access, have some a key to get in. But of course, our community partners are very generous with their locations, and we want to be cognizant of the fact that we're using basically private property. I do have some locations that are on city property, not very many. So we'll have to address that this year. Fortunately, this is the last election in 2025, so we have lots of time to review polling locations, review our agreements, come to some understandings and just, move forward in a positive way.
What were the lines like at Bay of Christ?
Christ of the
Christ
Bay?
of Bay.
Yeah, no problem. So the chief inspector told me that at the beginning, that 7:22, 7:30, there was like 30 or 40 people there, which is about par for the course for right in the beginning.
And then it's been just kind of smooth throughout the day, or
So no issues throughout the day that I've heard of. Like I said, I had given ballots to. Actually, it was at the end, I'd given another 4 wards, so 32 of the 51 wards got extra ballots, more ballots than I had originally ordered, and I'd given some to Christ of the Bay. Those are wards 4 and 5.
So those polling places that went without power for a period of time, you did not need to use any auxiliary power?
No, so we did not need to use a generator. So we were ready with the generator and we didn't have to use it. Fortunately, the DS200s, like I said, they have a battery backup that lasts anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, depending on a lot of different factors. I will just say that we're probably going to be purchasing new tabulators next year. The state has to approve the new tabulator, then the county has to make a decision. If the county makes a decision that we go to the DS300, then that will help us with that battery backup because those would be newer machines. Because of course this happens everywhere. I was very fortunate to participate in a webinar with the clerk from Miami-Dade County where there's hurricanes every election season, right? So holy cats, what do you do when there's a hurricane? Well, this is how he's prepared. So fortunately, like I said, the battery lasted long enough. So when WPS, Wisconsin Public Service, was able to restore the power, there was no lag in the way that the voters were interacting with the machine. And we did not have to use that auxiliary bin that I mentioned, which is where voters can put ballots if the machine is down. And of course, the machine can be down for maintenance reasons or for lack of power.
And obviously being 5 months removed from November, obviously today with high voter turnout.
Yeah.
Overall, just reflection on that high voter turnout and just the message to the city about the importance of coming out and voting.
Yeah, it is voting is not only a duty and a habit, but it's also an act of faith. Faith in your fellow man, your fellow community members, faith in your elected officials, the people you're electing, faith in the entire process. So I am humbled and heartened that so many people came out in the state of Wisconsin to vote in this important election. And like I said, not just because of the state Supreme Court or the state superintendent, but also because of all the other races that are on there, including the referendum. So I'm heartened that Wisconsinites thought that it was so important to come out and vote and make sure that, as they like to say, their voice was heard because your vote is your voice.
and then when you said you anticipate wrapping up the counting.
Yeah, I would say between our normal time. So when I look back at our elections and when I actually said, hey, we delivered the sticks to the county for central count, I would say between 9:30 and 10:30.
So you said that you compared this kind of in terms of intensity almost to the 2024 presidential election.
Yes.
Can you explain that a little more now that you've had a little more time?
Sure. Just in terms of the, especially in the last week, people were really eager. Um, and just the sort of, I mean, we always anticipate a really high turnout for presidential. So that part I was prepared for. Um, but just like I said, the enthusiasm, the interest, the chatter, that's what made it feel more like a November election than an April election. So, but that's, that's good. And it was interesting because there was as much chatter and enthusiasm in April of 23, but we had the mayor's race then. And so, like I said, Green Bayers, we came out for that mayor's race. But wow, everyone's really excited to vote in this election, and that's a really good thing.
You said those exact numbers probably tomorrow.
Oh, yes, right. So, no, you guys will know them before I will. Because what I have to do, I have all this wrapping up to do tonight. Um, and then I don't actually look at the tapes and sort of calculate things and compare them to what the county had reported until tomorrow. Because I have a canvass on Friday. So I canvass the school board. So that's what I'm looking for. Normally I would just, record what the votes were per ward. But for the canvass, I actually have to look at the tapes and do some things. So I won't know. You guys will know before I will. That happens all the time. People ask me, "Oh, Celestine, do you know how?" Especially my relatives and who don't live here. Do you know how the election's going to turn out? No, you guys know before I do because I'm busy doing some other things. Anything else? Awesome. Well, thank you. This will be the last one, and we'll deliver that press release saying when we delivered the sticks to the county for central count. Also, just to reiterate that at polls results are delivered directly to the county. I changed that last year. So all the poll workers bring their sticks to the county directly. So that's how the county gets the at polls results, especially before central count results. Okay, thank you.